I worked my butt off harder than I ever in any class. I got 141% A plus, broke every curve. She had to, curve everything. And I was that guy. I don't think anybody, it was, 100-person plus class. I don't think anybody really liked me because I was that guy, but I had something to prove to myself, but I wanted to prove my dad wrong. So, get the report card and I go, here, that's the type of idiot that fails history twice.
Oh, bro.
So that was a...
What does it look like to lead with heart, bounce back from failure, and stay grounded through it all? Today, I sit down with Manny Hochheimer, banker, father, and leader whose journey from Germany to Spokane, Washington is anything but ordinary. As Assistant Vice President of Washington State branches at Idaho Central Credit Union, Manny brings more than business savvy to the table. He brings grit, grace, and a refreshing outlook on turning adversity into opportunity. Manny shares the hard-won lessons that shaped him as a leader, a partner, and a parent, and why showing up authentically is the key to real success. Whether you're navigating your own no or searching for what's next, this conversation will leave you with a bit more optimism, a few laughs, and a reminder that resilience isn't about never failing or falling. It's about how you decide to get back up here on Navigating No. Manny, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Thanks for having me.
We became friends through other friends, and right away we hit it off. And we met at a Rotary Club meeting, actually, where you're giving back and your story about not only immigrating here from Germany at a young age, but then also from Colorado into the Spokane area. But you're the assistant vice president of the branches for Idaho Central Credit Union. And you're trying to get into the Spokane market, and you've done an absolute exceptional job. And I think that your story can resonate with our audience a lot, and people can learn some things. And I would just love for you to kind of give us a brief breakdown of your story on your journey so people can catch up and learn more about you.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. And, obviously, you know me, I like to talk and tell stories and things. And,
but I did find out you were younger than me.
Yeah, a little bit. Right. Yeah. So I'm 40. I'm 44 now.
Yeah.
And I kind of told you. I said, with what this is about, with navigating no and adversity and all these things, I can do a condensed version from 0 to 44 about my life and how it shaped me and built me and those experiences.
Yeah.
And those experiences have been beautiful things. They've been ugly things. They've been hard things. They've been dark things. They've been amazing things, right? The whole gamut.
Yeah.
So for me, it really kicks off at 0 years of age, right? I'm born in Germany, in the southern part of Germany, into a beautiful family with 2 older brothers. They were both 10 years older than me. They're about 15 months apart. So I was that third child that basically grew up with 3 dads versus 2 brothers and a dad.
Sure.
And that's really what the relationship was. But you don't really recall a lot from 0 to 5, right? That's that kind of early years and shaping. The most kind of vivid memories that I have from Germany are about, 3.5 to 4 on for that last year. But I remember, when we immigrated to America, the U.S. government brought us over. My dad's a high-pressure physicist. They brought us over to the Los Alamos National Labs. And I was 5, flawless, kind of easy for a 5-year-old. I think my brothers had it a lot rougher, right? They were...
So they're 15 in high school time period.
At that point, 14 and 15. I'm 5, and we immigrate there. And, Los Alamos, New Mexico, it certainly changed from 1986 to 2025. But back then, it was a very, closed off, really, tight community where there was very limited sort of opportunities and jobs. And a lot of it functioned around those labs, right? So when I came there, it was interesting because it was kind of a melting pot, right? There was Latin, there was different sort of ethnicities because of the labs. So my transition from Germany to America there in kindergarten at a little place called Barranca Mesa Elementary, it was pretty seamless and flawless, and I enjoyed it. And then did a half a year of first grade there as well. So that's about.
Did your dad, even though English or English is a Germanic language.
Yeah.
It's like, did he speak enough English when he came over, and your parents?
My parents and my brothers were all fluent in both languages.
Okay.
I only spoke German.
Okay.
But in the German system, you start learning English very early in primary school already. But remember, we moved when I was 5, so I never had that exposure to the English language. So I think that was easier than for my parents. But like any child, they just are like a sponge. So
I was going to say that.
Pick it up. So we did like that 2 years in Los Alamos from 86 to 88. And then we moved in around my birthday in March of 88 to Fort Collins, Colorado. And Fort Collins, Colorado is really what I identify as my hometown.
Okay.
Right. Even though I was born in Germany. I came there in 88. So just turning 7. And it was right at the tail end of first grade. Right. So I show up there. And Fort Collins back then, very different now, but in 1988, very homogeneous, right? So it wasn't like Los Alamos where there was that blended melting pot.
Absolutely.
So I faced my first real hardships and adversity because people are like, "Oh, who's the German kid?" You know,
Yeah.
And I wasn't accepted. Right. I even got bullied a little bit and pushed around. And March in Colorado back in 88 was tough because it's not like you really got to bond at recess. It was still very snowy and and cold, right?
Yeah.
But once March kind of got in and things kind of cleared, you got to go out and play, you know, football and soccer and basketball. And then quickly the kids that were just picking on me for no other reason than the fact that I was a German kid, right? They're like, "Oh, this guy's kind of cool and good at sports. He's really good at soccer, right?" So,
did you ever see the movie Victory?
No, what's that one about?
It was World War II, and it was the prison camps, and it's about the prisoners in the POW camp in Germany are soccer players from all over. And so the German team takes on this ragamuffin group, and it's like a jail escape and trying to get out. But Sylvester Stallone's in it, and he's an American football player, so he just is the goalie, right? But it's a good movie, but it's like the Germans are renowned soccer players. And I went to a World Cup game over there when they clinched. And it was just like, I don't know anything about soccer other than Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
But it is such a phenomenal sport to see people do really good at it. And it's amazing. And my daughter does it. So, okay. So you're good at soccer.
That clinch, did that happen to be 1990 at all? Or
I think it was 90.
Yeah.
I think I was over, and we had discussed earlier, like I worked there modeling but I loved it. So yes, were you there too?
Yes. That was my favorite team. I had a German soccer ball from that team, and there was a couple of signatures on there from some of the players too.
Where is it now?
At home in Fort Collins with my parents still. It's one of those things that, you know, when your parents pass you off to your wife, you kind of leave a lot of the childhood things at the parents' home because the wife doesn't want it, you know.
I know exactly what that means.
So,
but I still have, my mom kept all of my toys and my books, and it's honestly, it's the coolest thing because my mom moved up here too. Yeah. And she lives in Liberty Lake. And so when she's with my kids, she has all my old books, all of my old Army guys, like the little green plastic guys, my old G.I. Joe guys, Star Wars guys, and she gets to play with them again. And it's just neat that those come out again. Yeah. So I understand, but I had to get rid of a lot of trophies. Oh yeah. So continue.
Yeah, no, it's funny though. I'm looking forward to those magical moments. Hopefully I'm a grandfather someday that can look back at my kids' stuff and share it, you know?
Yeah.
But so that transition then in Fort Collins, it really shaped me there at an early age to notice that not everybody's going to like you. And some people are going to prejudge you. And sometimes you got to come into a new market and just be yourself.
Yeah.
And let people accept you for who you are on their terms. If you try to force people to change or do something or push something upon them, they will shut down immediately. But if you meet them where they're at and you just stay true and authentic to yourself, I knew I was a good person. I knew I could play sports really well. And that's the thing that bonded me with the rest of the people in first grade. And then by the time second grade rolled around after the summer, it was, you know, a happy family, so to speak, right?
Did somebody tell you how to do that? Or you just were like, I mean, your brothers are older.
Yeah.
And your parents are working.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you're kind of going to school and it's kind of like a lone wolf. You're like doing your own thing. Is that just something that came naturally where you're like, this is going to work for me? Like, was there an aha moment that you were like, this is how I deal with adversity and being judged incorrectly, and this is what I need to do?
I think it came naturally. And if I probably had to trace it to something, it's probably the exposure that I got from 0 to 7, traveling all over, being exposed to different cultures because of my parents' careers, as you know, my father being a physicist and my mom earlier was a nurse and then got into education. So I was always exposed to different cultures, languages, people. And it was like that, it just kind of, it was, and you just accepted it and it worked, right? You would always try something. It's, try that food. Oh, I don't like that, but man, I love that. Right. But I think just naturally things were never forced upon me. And I think that's where that came in my natural lifestyle and my natural way of navigating the world, right? Is just kind of be you and be true to you. And the people that want to be a part of your life will be, and the people that don't. And it's okay not to be liked by everybody. And I think this generation sometimes wants to be liked by everybody. The best thing you can do for yourself is set yourself free and realize you're not going to make everybody happy.
That is absolute gold. And okay, so you realize that at a young age. Is that something that you tell your kids? Like is that it? How do you express, or do you do that with your employees too? Like, I mean, is that something that you try to like share with people? I mean, that's a valuable aha moment for you.
It's a motto I live by and share with everybody.
Okay.
I share it with my kids, with my friends, with my family, with colleagues, and it can show up in different wording, right? So in the financial industry, I always tell people, and I've been in it for 25 years now, I always tell people, you have to remember banking is a privilege, not a right. And I think sometimes people conflate their rights and they push their rights and their way of doing on everybody and everybody. And people need to understand education is a privilege. Banking is a privilege. Utilities, all these things. Being on a podcast, this is all a privilege. So you have to acknowledge that and show up and say, you know what? Thank you. Thank you to whoever. Thank you to the person. Thank you to the higher spirit. Thank you to God, whatever it is. Thank them or that person for that privilege of being able to have that. Now, I know there's going to be ups and downs in life and escalations, right? Like, we talked about flying earlier, right? I dropped my wife off at the airport yesterday and picked her up, The morning wasn't as pleasant as the afternoon, right?
Sure.
So, but is she going to let that unpleasant morning of, morning commuter travel from Spokane to Seattle, ruin her whole day? Or is she just going to suck it up and try to stay positive and get through it and have a great rest of the day? And that's what I mean by you got to choose, how you show up, how you react to things, and then help people to understand that, yeah, you might be upset at a situation, whatever that situation is, a flat tire, an overdrawn account, God forbid something more escalated like a child getting hurt or something. You got to still show up and kind of try to remain calm and figure out solutions. Right.
Because there's a way of figuring it out.
Yeah.
I mean, are you going to basically complain and be the victim about the problem?
Yeah.
Or most achievers are like, well, okay, that happened to me. I accept it. Now, how do we get out of it?
Yeah. And what can I learn from it?
100%.
And maybe do better. And then also, what can I teach somebody else? Like I always tell my kids, and Vanja and I both, that's my wife, right? We always tell them, please learn from us. Learn from our mistakes or our life experiences that in fact, we just had our annual family reunion at Priest Lake, right? The days before the 4th and 5th were beautiful. The 4th and 5th were rough, and the days after. But on the 4th, everybody wanted to boat out during the middle of a rainstorm to go see the fireworks at Elkins like we do every year. And I told everybody, I'm like, have any of you ever been in the middle of a lake during a rainstorm? Because my brother and I certainly have. And it's not fun. So I'm not going. I will watch them from the deck. And I understand, half of them are like, oh yeah, we're just watching it from the deck. But other people were so gung ho. They're like, oh no, we got to go. It's tradition. We got to go see the fireworks. I'm like, by all means, here's the boat keys. Go enjoy yourself. But they all ultimately decided to watch them from the deck, which was the right thing because they listened to the voice of reason. Because even just a little rainstorm in the middle of a lake, I don't know if it's ever happened to you, it's not pleasant.
No.
So I thank them for listening to my middle brother and I who have been caught in the middle of a rainstorm in the middle of a lake. It's not fun.
Oh my God. Well, I love that you say learn from us, because with our kids, I don't want to be that parent that says, when I was your age, this is what you need to listen to me because I know better, right? And that, I think, is a lot of friction. And my kids are young enough now that they're malleable and flexible, but as they become older, they are going to want to go against the grain a little bit, right? And they're going to want to defy, and they're going to want to be themselves. But we're here to kind of guide them, right? Not to helicopter pilot them, but to guide them in the right directions, because it's so easy for a child to make a wrong decision, right? It only takes that one wrong choice.
Amen.
And so,
or that wrong circle of friends too.
Or a wrong circle of friends. And I think that when, as a parent, and you could go along with this, like, for example, if you tell your wife, like, babe, we got a budget. We really got a budget, and we got to do this. And she's like, oh, I don't want to hear it. But then if I told her that you need to budget, she said, oh, Blue just told me the most amazing thing. You're like, I've been telling you this for 15 years, right? So coming from a third party, when it's coming from a parent, it's almost like, ooh, I want to go against the grain. But when you say that, learn from us, it almost sounds like, ooh, that's kind of interesting and piques my curiosity. And it's not like you're my enemy. It's actually like you're a guiding light. And I love that. So I'm going to steal that from you, Manny.
I love what you just said. You nailed two pretty key points that I want to dive into a little bit. You said, and you have to help me with how you said it, but it's words matter. So teaching your kids versus, hey, you're going to do it my way, more forceful, or I think you said back in my day, right? That it falls on deaf ears, or it's in one ear out the other, right? So if you try to teach and say, this is my experience of getting caught in the middle of a lake in a rainstorm, or my experience with shooting Roman candles at each other on a 4th of July.
Love doing that, by the way.
Yeah, right.
Especially at the dogs next door.
Yeah, like learn that maybe it's not the wisest thing to do, but you also still have to allow kids to be kids and just pray that first off, pregnancy and birth is a miracle, and then launching kids and getting them out into the real world is another miracle all in itself. I mean, you and I have talked
having
about
them graduate from school, right?
But it's exactly like you said, words matter, how you guide them matters. And then the other point that you said, it was hilarious. It's, it made me laugh because I think men are better at listening to their wives than wives are at listening to their men. And I know that's probably going to get a lot of flack, but when you said what you said, the thing that popped into my mind is I always tell Vanj something and be like, oh, this, and that. And she's like, no. And then she'll come and be like, oh, Joe Blow told me, or Blue told me, or this person. And I'm like, I've been telling you that.
Exactly.
But then it resonates, right?
Yes.
Whereas with me, most of the time, Vanj will tell me something, and I love her, and it's amazing. Most people that know her, they credit her as that savior for me, right? Because you and I talked about different paths in life. There was a path there where I was very cocky, arrogant, and unhumble, and that was towards my later teens and even early 20s. And my 3 best friends from childhood that I grew up with in Fort Collins, they all credit Vanj. And a lot of my family credits Vanj with being that saving force in my life that, people weren't sure if I'd ever get married. People weren't sure if I'd even be alive past 25 because I was such a free spirit and I just lived by the beat of my own drum and did whatever I want. And I was confident, right? So it's like, man, he's going to be the guy to never get married and go probably skydiving 30 times and a parachute's not going to open and he's going to die.
I was that guy, except not parachuting. I'm terrified of that.
Rock climbing, river rafting, all the, I'm the last year of Gen X, all the extreme stuff, So, but yeah, Vanj came into my life pretty early. I was 20 and a half and boom, I knew. I just knew. And talking about navigating no, 3 months into dating, we're driving and I'm turned to her and I go, I'm going to marry you someday. And she laughed in my face, just straight on lost it, just cracked up, right? 20 years later, 2 kids later, a couple dogs, joke's on her, Blue. Joke's on her. But talk about navigating no. And this is something I always tell. We were just on a management leadership meeting and I always tell people, if you don't ask, you don't get. Don't be afraid of no. And maybe you get a no, then rephrase it. And somebody once said about me, Manny will wear you down until he gets to a yes. You can shut him out and give him a no 7 times. And by all means, on the 8th time, they're going to be like, oh, fine, I'll marry you,
Sure.
And I think
I have to give her a little more credit though, because I think you're worth it.
Oh,
number one.
Thanks.
But you're right. It's like, a lot. And as a speaker, I'm told no all the time.
Yeah.
Like I reach out to event planners. I'm like, hey, are you interested in bringing me in as a speaker? And it's like, if I quit when somebody tells me no, like I probably wouldn't be working, because it's usually not the first time. It takes several times. It takes creating that relationship with somebody else. It's like proving yourself, and then hearing what they say and say, what can I change? I delivered it incorrectly. What can I learn from that? We had Chris Bovey on here the other day, and he pitched the idea of his shirts and all of his sign work, and people laughed at him. And he was like, and that night he actually kind of wrote a business plan idea, like he was like, okay, maybe there's something here. And then he took it and it took off.
Yeah.
Right. But it's like, he learned from that no, and he took it and manipulated it and made it better.
Right.
And so even if I'm told no, it's like, well, why am I being told no? I could take it personally and then like give up, or I could take it and say, I'll follow up later. It's just a door that hasn't been unlocked yet. I don't have the right key. And it sounds like that's exactly what you did. And thankfully she said yes.
And that's the type of person you are too. You know, you and I have talked about adversity and all these things, and things will happen to you that are hard. I remember I disappointed my father greatly, and it hurt, but I came through it. He was Colorado State University is where I went to college, and he was the physics. Ultimately, he was the chair of the physics department there. He's chair emeritus now, obviously retired. But when I went in straight out of high school at 18, I wasn't ready for college. I was interested in girls, parties, and basketball and hanging out. So
not soccer.
No. That's so, yeah, it's funny. Football and basketball were my loves then growing up. I was a big kid.
Sure.
So it was always like they called me the German tank. They just hand me the ball and I go plow through everybody. It was fun.
I'm going to reveal something that I've never had, but the Japanese called me Kyoryu-san, like the old dinosaur, because I was so slow in Japan and they were so fast when I would compete in tournaments. And that they would call me Kyoryu-san, the old dinosaur, right? Mr. Old Dinosaur. But I had to learn to leverage that, right? Like I couldn't beat them on their own territory, so I had to let them attack me, and I could push them aside because I was bigger. So I use that to my advantage and leverage it. Okay, so
see, but you got to learn what your strengths are in life and 100%. Utilize those strengths, right? And things evolve, right? Like that served me well from about 8 to 14, just hand them the ball and let them run. But then when you get into like real football, they're like, well, you're not a running back, we're going to put you at center. And then you can just snap the ball to somebody and, plow over people that way instead. But it was HY 171 history class, 8 a.m. class. I just couldn't get there. I could, but I didn't. I didn't want to. I don't think I ever really made class there. So first semester grades come F in HY 171, and my dad's like, "What the heck?" Like I'm paying for your college. Obviously gets a little bit of a discount, working there, but he goes, "Don't take life for granted. I'm only going to tell you this once. That happens again, you're done. You got to figure out your own way in life." And I guess I didn't take him serious at 18, right? That first semester. Second semester, they had this repeat delete. Did the same stupid thing and didn't learn from it. Report card comes out. Dad's like, "Oh, you got an F again?"
Same class.
He goes, "Good luck." I'm like, "What do you mean good luck?" He goes, I warned you. Did you think that was an idle threat? Like you figure out your own way and figure out your own college and figure out your own way in life. I go, wow, that was eye-opening at 19, right? So I said, all right, fine. Back then, they had the paper, right? That's the cocky, arrogant, defiant, confident. Lithia, Foothills, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep. Oh, they're hiring for sales. Yeah, I could do that. I like cars. Go to be like, hey, I want to come work and sell cars, and I'm going to take some time off of college, And the guy, this big dealer group, right? Doug Moreland, Jerry Cash. This is kind of Colorado Midwest sort of group, and Jerry Cash just instantly hit it off because he spoke some German. Yeah. So he's like, well, I'm going to take a chance on you. You're a young kid, but let's see. So then I go and do that and never skipped a beat. They called me Mr. Minivan King, in town because the old salespeople didn't want to deal with the families.
Yeah.
You'd get mom and dad and 2 to 5 kids somewhere coming in for minivans. The old guys would run. They want to deal with the guy buying the pickup truck or the sports car or just a normal married couple, right? They don't want to entertain kids. So naturally, I was pretty much the guy selling minivans because I'd take you out on test drives all day. We'd stop and get Frosties or ice cream. And by the end of it, the kids are all hugging and just minivan after minivan, right? And then referral business. So before you know it, like you get like bonuses and incentives. So it's like it builds and builds. So now you got this 19-year-old kid, all this money,
making more money than you'd ever had.
Right.
Okay.
So naturally, my best friend is like, hey, let's go backpack Europe. And I'm like, all right, yeah, let's do that. So did that and left.
Well, hold on, let's pause because I love that transition. But let's go back to your dad really quick because you knew your grades. Like you knew I'm not doing good in this class. And you knew that he did mention it once. And so were you scared for him to see it? Or were you just like, you already went in confidently, not believing that he would really call his bluff?
Yeah, I just moved on. I mean, talk about immaturity, talk about, arrogance in a way. I just didn't skip a beat. All right, what's next? I didn't let negativity or hard times or no affect me. Like I told you earlier, you just got to kind of continue and that path looks different. And the path is very colorful, right? At that point, things kind of worked out, right? But then, you do all that and then you come back and you're like, okay, what's next? Car sales was fun, but the industry is really tough to be in. There's a lot of externalities with personalities and people that just didn't fit me. So, I like beautiful cultures. And I think, that's why I've been in the financial services industry now for like 25 years, because it's beautiful people and beautiful culture. It's what my heart draws me to, right? So then I just jumped into furniture sales with Furniture Row. Oak Express is where I worked. So then my other best friend, Adam, and I took jobs there in the warehouse unloading trucks. And then quickly we promoted up to sales. And before you know it, boom, one of the top salespeople, right? Yeah. Again, making a ton of money, but like, not caring about what's next, like I always kind of knew I wanted to be married and have kids and all the beauty that comes along with a family. But that's where Vanj came into my life. Yeah. And Vanj highly values education, right? She's a PhD economist, right? So we started dating and she really had a heart to heart with me to say, hey, I know you're happy and you're making lots of money, but you're young. You cannot continue to work 80 to 100 hour week. That's really what we were putting in there, 80 to 100 hour weeks, and you're rolling in the dough, no problem.
100%. And that's a salesperson, right? Like, or an entrepreneur. It's just like that lifestyle of like, you are putting, it's up to you. Yeah. If you don't make a sale, it's nobody else's fault. It is on you. Bingo. And the same thing at Gold's Gym being the top salesperson, it was like, if I wasn't putting those 10 to 12 hours a day, somebody else was going to take my place and eat me up, right? Bingo. And so it's like, and that was natural because for me, an exact same experience at a young age coming out of college, making more money than I ever had and getting these bonuses and these commissions. It was just like, why wouldn't I ever do it? And I same thing. I would work really hard. And then I went to Europe and I would work in Europe or whatever. But so very similar experience based on it. But as a young kid, it was just like, wow, it's this money. But what I want to go back for just a second and say that even though you were told no by your dad, and even though you had no like set goal, you continued to move forward. Bingo. Yes. Right. Yes. You didn't quit. Yeah. And you didn't become the victim where your dad was like pointing his finger and you're like, oh, boo is me. But you also didn't say, give me one more chance and I'm going to do it. Right. But it was like, even though you were getting these setbacks, you kept moving forward and growing. Bingo. In a different industry, a different thing. And you were improving yourself. Bingo. Even though you didn't have that goal. Yeah. And that's where these stories then align and intersect. And that's the beauty of life, right? So God gave me Vanj into my life at when and where I needed her to teach me humility, to teach me to look at things a different way, right? So she said, you're a very talented person. You need to go back to school, finish that,
and then choose a path that has more work-life balance. You and I have always talked about work-life balance. And I knew, talking about how men listen to women.
Yeah.
Generally
She was right.
She was right.
I love it.
But I also,
my wife's always right too.
But I also listened to her
Yeah.
because I know she's wise and she's humble and hungry, and she's everything that I knew. She, I dated a lot in high school and those early years, but like that, when I knew Vanj was the one, and it took her a little while to figure that out on her side, I think, for me, but it all came together. But so ultimately she's like, hey, you need to go back to school, again, Times of the newspaper.
Yeah.
Look, First Bank is hiring a teller right by CSU, by Colorado State University on college there. She goes, why don't you go apply for that? She goes, that's a great job. Banks are, pretty much Monday through Friday, closed on the weekends and nights. And then you can do, work school back into it. I'm like, all right. So go apply. Literally like 80 plus, they told me afterwards, like literally 80 plus people applied. Trina, I won't give you the last name, but Trina, she goes, hey, and Kayla, they said it was an all female branch pretty much, right? I was
perfect for you,
right? They're like, hey, we picked you out of like 80 people. And part of that was because you smelled good and you looked nice. I had a little vest with a like little bow tie and I smelled good. And they're like, that it's talking about those little things that matter. I always tell people more than probably half of life is luck and timing, and you don't know what it's going to be. So smell good, look good, groom good, present yourself well, be confident. You never know what it's going to be. And sometimes you might be one of the 79 people getting the no.
Yeah.
Or you might be the one out of the 80 that gets the yes that time. So then I get that job. Vanj, we start back in school. She's doing her master's at the time at Colorado State University. She did the master's and the PhD in economics there. And that's ultimately right where we met, right? So I go and I start. I'm doing a couple classes. And then finally, my arch nemesis comes up. My history credit that is required.
Okay.
So then history comes up and I'm like, oh my God, I got to take this history class. HY 171.
Yeah.
So
I love how you remember it like it was yesterday.
HY 171. When you enrolled for something 3 times, you will never forget the number. It probably has changed now.
Sure.
Back then in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was HY 171. And we're having dinner with my parents and I go, I'm going to take HY 171. And my dad, I still remember clearly, he goes, what kind of an idiot fails history twice?
Like legit at the dinner table.
He said it in German, so it was a little bit more lovely sounding.
Okay. Like, can you throw that out?
Was für ein Idiot kann die Klasse zweimal nicht hinkriegen, weißt? So, and it sounds lovely in German, but obviously
way better German. In German.
Idiot is idiot, right?
Yeah.
So he basically called his son an idiot in front of his mom and his
future wife.
Yeah, future wife. So, and I go, wow, Dad, sorry that you lost faith in me. I'm going to prove you wrong. Just straight up like that. So then I put everything I had into that class. I showed up. I was the first in, last out. Read everything, did everything, got to know the professor too. And don't ever underestimate the power of a teacher who sees something in you, or coach who sees something in you or believes in you, or a partner or a friend, right? I worked my butt off harder than ever in any class. I think the rest of the kids hated me because they were all freshmen, right? It was a freshman level class and I was a little older and seasoned, but I got 141% A+, broke every curve. She had to, curve everything. And I was that guy. I don't think anybody, it was, 100-person plus class. I don't think anybody really liked me because I was that guy, but I had something to prove to myself, but I wanted to prove my dad wrong. So, get the report card and I go, here, that's the type of idiot that fails history twice.
Oh, bro.
So that was a redeeming moment, right? Because as a son, you just want to make your dad proud, right? But you also have to navigate the complexity of a father-son relationship. And I love my parents. They're the greatest thing and gift in my life, other than Vanj and my kids, obviously. But that felt so good to get that done. And that journey then coincided, and I continued on with my career at First Bank and got my degree, married Vanj, started our family and everything. And then it was, oh, '09 is '09 to 11, the 2 years, that's where we lived in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
But prior to that, it was '07, '08, '08, '09 academic year. We'd been married in '04, but didn't have kids. So we actually had two households because Vanj was doing her dissertation fellowship in Baltimore, Maryland at Loyola University. So, again, we were traveling, had money. It was great. It was fun. It was like dating again, right? And then when we did the Denver thing, we were there. And that's where, Vanj did the 2 years at Denver University, but she then found her permanent home, which was Whitworth University. And we moved here in July of 11. And
from Colorado,
from Denver, right?
Okay.
And then we moved when our first child was a little over one, and we knew we wanted a second one. So as we're growing our family, we needed a larger home, right? But we also needed some help, right? And both of us had paid for our own college. Vanj through rougher, family circumstances, had made her own way, and me through bad choices of failing HY 171 twice.
And just accumulating that money with sales.
But we lived, so it wasn't like we all the money I made, I lived experiences, right? So when it came time for that house, my dad, pretty much to the penny, said, here, and it matched kind of what I had put forward in student loans and whatnot for my college education, helped us out with the down payment, and said, hey, I'm proud of you, right? So I had to fall flat, learn hard, what's that word? Resurrect, I guess, or is that the right?
Get back up.
And then, I wasn't expecting anything from my dad, but the reward at the end, right? It's like, hey, you did it, but I wasn't just going to let you off the hook easy because you weren't going to learn anything if I would have just kept paying for Fs.
Yes.
But you and I talk about all these life experiences that shape you, coming into a new emerging market, right? That I did that on a harder level already when I immigrated to America, talking about coming into a new market. I'd learned failure. I had learned hard things and how to get knocked down and continue to rise up, that shaped me to be
where you are today, right? To become who you are. And it's like all of these moments in our life, these connections in our life help shape us. And these failures and these rejections that we all experience kind of make us stronger and help us grow if you are willing to put in the hard work to do it. If you're willing to fall forward, if you're willing to keep knocking on that door. Have you had that conversation with your dad since then and said that was the strategic movement? I have a similar part with my mom that I was a kid that from divorced family, and I took it out on my mom, and I was rude to her, and she didn't know what to do. She did not know how to handle me, and she wasn't in a place where she had the power over me. And I thought I knew everything, but she knew that martial arts and karate were like my thing. And so I came to class one day, and she was there talking to my instructor, and I was like, oh no, like I'm going to be in trouble. And that was the longest class I'd ever been in. And at the end of the class, I was sitting with my instructor, and he said, if you ever speak to your mom that way again, you will never set foot in these doors. And I knew immediately right then that it was like, okay, my mom's going to be like Mother Teresa. From now on, I will never talk to her that way. But my mom did the best strategic move of all time. And she knew my currency. And I don't mean financially, right? Like she knew what motivated me and inspired me, because she didn't have that pull over me, right? But she knew somebody who did.
Love it.
And she knew that, and she pulled that. And because of that one moment, it was like this learning curve for me where I was like, man, if you know someone's currency, that's how you can get people to do things.
I love it.
And so that was my moment, just like with your dad. He didn't give it to you. And you've obviously had that conversation when with the pride of showing him that grade. You had mentioned like the navigating the no. It's like and proving him wrong, right? And when I hear no, whether that's a rejection or I failed at something, it's a little mind word that I throw onto myself. And I just switch the letters to on, right? And it's time to move on. It's time to prove that person wrong. It's time to prove the world that I can do it. And when you said I dived into it and I was just like head first and I did every single thing to achieve that because it was a hard drive goal. I mean, it was like, it was something you wanted to achieve now. You wanted to prove that you were valuable and that you could prove that you could do it if you put your time and effort into it. And it's a door that you came back to later.
Yeah.
Right. It really is. It's like, just because you fail at something doesn't mean that if you start a business and you're like, oh, I really want to start an espresso shop or some like coffee stand and it failed. Well, who's to say in 5 years, it's just a better location.
Yes.
You now have an MBA. You now have a better relationship with a bank that can give you a better loan. And it's just like, you have a better business partner. It's like, you can always keep coming back because really the only way to fail is either you quit forever or you die.
Yes.
It really is. And so you took that and you were able to hand that over to your dad. I want to go back to that. How did that make you feel literally? And how did your wife, because you were married at that time, right? By the time that you passed that.
I think I have to pull the records. But it was like, we got married in 2004. That might've been 2003.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but I mean,
Engaged,
it was just this,
certainly. Yeah.
It was this stress release off of you.
Yeah.
But it also gave you, I'm assuming that all of these challenges made you that much stronger. You had this armor on that now you can look at things a little differently, and they're not as detrimental. They're not as like, oh, it's the end of the world when I'm told no or I'm challenged.
Yeah, I love talking to you. There's always
I love talking to you.
There's so many things. I think there's 4 things that like I got to unpack there with that last thought. And let me start by like know people's currency.
Yeah,
that's brilliant. I love that. Like, in your example, the currency was being able to do martial arts.
Yes.
And your mom knew that was the currency.
Yes.
And amazing, right? My currency was not getting what I wanted. Yeah. Don't spoil me and don't give it to me easy, right? And my dad knew that's what the hard thing needed to happen, right? And then it's funny, you'd kind of mentioned like starting businesses and you'd mentioned like a coffee stand, right? As you're talking about that, one of my old MBA profs popped into my mind. Kevin Parker from Dutch Bros?
Yes. Yeah.
He was one of so I did my MBA at Whitworth and he was one of my profs, and he fondly told the story of he had his first Dutch Bros stand and things were, going well, exactly like you described. So an older, wiser mentor told him, hey, it's a concept we use in the financial industry all the time. It's called the branch multiplier effect. You have one branch, it's going to do all right. Then you put a second one and they both do better. And a third one, right? The branch multiplier. So one of his mentors, you should have Kevin on.
Okay.
It'd be fun to talk to, but
Kevin, if you're listening to this, because I know we're LinkedIn, you should be on our podcast.
He's a fun dude to converse with. But one of his mentors told him, hey, you got to open more. It's like, what? I'm barely surviving on the one stand. Like, this is scary. His wife, the kids, all. He said, no, you got to do it. So I opened another one and another one and another one. And now look what he's built with that. So in banking, it's called the branch multiplier effect. I don't know what it would be with coffee stands. Stand multiplier effect.
I was going to say the bean multiplier.
The bean multiplier effect. But that shows you, sometimes you just got to be brave and continue on and switch the no to an on. And what is the on? And a lot of times it takes somebody older and wiser to tell you what it is or guide you or not give in to what you want or be tough. My dad always preaches tough love. And I do that. Vanj and I do that with our kids too. I think Vanj is actually the tougher one than I am, but the kids are certainly getting tough love. Yeah. And I think that's how you got to raise kids. You can't just give them everything. What they really want is love and experiences and safety. Yes. Right? The material stuff.
Knowing that they can always come to the same place, that they have like not a system, but like a
routine.
A routine.
I love routine at my age still.
Routine. Yeah. And it's like, our kids know that we can always have dinner every night together, that we wake up and we have breakfast, and they get a number of hours of sleep. And it's just like, they just know this safe spot. And I think that it removes so many obstacles in their life and setting them up for success. I want to go back really quick to how your wife said that she expected better of you, right? Like you can do better.
Yeah.
You can do
Yeah.
better. That's
Yes.
one of my wife's mantras, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I want to say that I have 2 friends in my life that whatever they tell me, I know they're right. No matter what, I'm not going to argue with them. I'm not going to debate with them. I'm like, whatever they say, they are speaking the truth to me. And my wife is one of those.
Amen.
One of those.
Amen.
And I don't know how. I don't have more people in my life like that. But did you know immediately, like, that she was that person? Like, how did you gain them? I would say that it's because of the relationship that I have with those people, but at the same time, it's my respect for my wife, respect for my best friend Adam and Moses. And it's like when they tell me something, it's like when she said, "You can do better," most people are going to say, "Well, whatever," and shrug off, just like you did with your dad, right? But there was a reason that you were like, "I've got to man up a little bit."
Oh, yeah.
And what she's saying is the truth, and I've got to provide or prove myself that I can do better to yourself.
Yeah.
Like, what do you know what that was?
So anybody that truly knows me knows a lot of things about me, but I think 3 core things that nobody will dispute. I am loyal, like friend, colleague, husband, father, all that. So loyalty matters to me. And then I actually live to make other people proud of me. And I love just
like
giving.
Your love language.
Yeah, it's my love language is to make others happy. So I won't go shop for myself and get myself things, but like I love doing things just out of the blue though. Like I'm not a Hallmark holiday sort of guy, but like I'm there when you most need it or you least expect it. And it could be just time or a beer or some golf, or it could be something material, right? Like a gift or something. But like I wanted to make my dad proud, right? I wanted to make Vanj proud. And to an extent, I wanted to make myself proud because I want to look at myself in the mirror and be like, you know what? Hey, you're doing all right. And I want to make my kids proud. I want to make my friends proud and my community proud. So when you talk about people that you know speak the truth into your life, man, God has blessed me more than probably anybody with my 2 parents, my 2 brothers, the family structure I come from, and then Vanj. And Vanj had another person you should probably have on the podcast. She had a rough launch in life. Let's just be honest. I think the spokesman actually did a beautiful story. I think they honored her with an award of like Woman of the Year or something. And she dove in and kind of let the guard down and told a little bit of the story, right? But like, I admire her for so many reasons. The grit, the intelligence, the humility, like that is my person, right? But I've got that kind of 5 core, and then I've got these friends. You mentioned your buddy in Moses Lake, is it?
Not Moses Lake. His name is Moses.
Oh, Moses. Oh, his name's Moses. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, his name is Moses. So,
but I'm going to nickname him Moses Lake from now on. I'll tell you what, he might beat me up.
So I've got my 3 best childhood friends, Brett, Matt, and Adam. They were all best men in my wedding, and they've been in my life since I was 7. And those people speak truth and authenticity. They've always been there. They've never let me down. They've always been there, same as that core family. And then we move here, right? And God has blessed me. You and I often talk about Rotary, right? Spokane is an interesting place to break into as an outsider.
Yeah.
They don't just, oh, hey, let's roll out the red carpet. When we first moved here, I'd done a decade at First Bank, very successful banker, right? One of the nation's largest privately held banks. I couldn't break into the banking scene here, when we moved here. I did a stint then at Bank of America.
Because you didn't smell good, or you didn't have a nice tie on?
I guess I should have, smelled better and had a cute little vest on, I guess.
I want to hit on that because you had mentioned that, and I want people to hear this, is that it's when you go above and beyond and you go that extra mile to land that job or to get a promotion, like how you show up really is important. If you can go a little bit more than everybody else, that 79 other people that are going out for the same job. If you can do something to stand out, whether that smell good, or remember when the resumes, people would say, you got to use this kind of wood to make it feel differently, or a business card that's made of metal or ivory or something like that. It really does make you memorable.
Oh yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
so, and it does. And I'm sure you hire people all the time. You see resumes come across your desk and it's like, what makes people stand out? It's going that little extra mile.
Bingo.
And so I would want people to hear that. I'm not saying that you have to use a lot of cologne or a cool tie, but anything that you can do that is authentic,
Yeah.
that shines,
Yeah.
helps you shine. I love that you mentioned that. So I wanted to hit that.
No, and I love that you bring that up because I was on a call this morning with my leadership team and we were sharing with one of the new leaders that we're bringing on to Kennewick because we're expanding in the Tri-Cities for ICCU. And one of the leaders had shared, I maybe didn't have the banking experience piece of it, but I knew I had other leadership and management and life. She used the word life experience. So she finishes and I said, yeah, absolutely. I said, I remember sitting with you and I was impressed by what she shared about her life experience and her other experience. And man, she painted this beautiful picture for me. It was like, that's a leader that I need in my team.
Love that.
And I don't care if I'm in healthcare, utilities, banking, media, doesn't matter. Hire the right people and understand that when they have a certain background or experiences, they're the right person. And a lot of people can do a lot of things, right?
Well, and you can leverage your gifts.
Right.
You can leverage your differences. And it's like a lot of people are afraid of that. They have to mold themselves into being something they're not, or they don't let themselves shine their individuality. Right. And so you had mentioned this at the very beginning when you went out when you finally got out into the soccer field or outside. You were you. And you owned your ability to be good at sports and to be tall and to be strong and confident. And it was like, it is about owning that.
Yes. Amen. So I think, that's always the advice I give to people then too, is be you, own you, and share those experiences. That's how you stand out. Right. Yeah.
So you talk about the challenge of like entering the Spokane market, and Spokane is a hard market to enter because it is such a tight community. Most people don't leave Spokane. Right. And we're building our home, and I told my wife, I'm like, when you meet people, tell everybody I'm from Spokane. It will really get you far, and it absolutely does. It's like this immediate, like, oh, you're not from Seattle. You understand us. You're a part of this community. And it really does. And so it's this difficult community to break into. But I think once you break in, you are then part of that community.
Amen.
And so you are in charge of bringing Idaho Central Credit Union into the Spokane region. How has that been? Because you've done exceptionally well. What's the secret to that?
Again, I think it's life experience. I had to break into the American market. I had to break into the Spokane market, so that I told you that stint at Bank of America Merrill Lynch, so talking about pivoting, but never giving up and always making forward progress. Somebody said, hey, go from community banking to investment banking. Did that. Met a colleague, and then that opened channels through for New America Credit Union, which I came back to community banking, did a decade with them. And then when the ICCU opportunity, because it's every banker's dream to open a brand new market, yet alone a brand new state. Oh my God.
Sure.
Like, it's a 1 in a million opportunity. If you ever get that, take it. Like,
1 out of 80. Yeah. You were number 1 out of the 79.
If any banker ever tells you, oh, I don't want to do that, they're lying to you. It's literally, it's hard. It's fun. It's exciting. It's all the things. And any really cool, legitimate banker is like, give me that. Let me do that. Right. So that's when that opportunity came. I was like, yeah, that's exciting. I was scared. Don't let me, come across as, oh yeah, there's got to be an element of fear. But I talked to my mentors and they said, yeah, coming into a new state, new market's hard, especially with a out-of-state name.
Sure.
They said, just work twice as hard and be twice as visible and you'll get the same results as anybody else. That was talking about great advice from people who've been there, done that pass on that to you. And that's what I love about Spokane. Once they accept you and put you under their wing, you're part of the Spokane family.
Yeah, they put their arm around you.
And they will give and guide, and they won't let you down. I promise you that. It's happened to me over and over again from the financial industry here, amazing people and mentors from other industries, from community things like our chambers and other sort of things, the universities, all those sort of pieces, right? School communities. And they that's one thing Spokane just does better than anybody. My buddy Tom Johnson, he was the old CEO at STCU, and Rich Hadley, the former GSI CEO, may he rest in peace. They always talked about grit. Spokane has grit, and two men that have been influential in my life as well, that said you got to have grit and just do it. And Spokane has grit, and you'll succeed here because they actually want to see everybody succeed, and they want to grow proper things and good things here, right? And that's been magic for me to open a brand new market and having that learning experience too. When we first moved here, where I was kind of shut out, Spokane above anywhere else is all about relationships. Period. If you don't have just like when you tell your contractors, hey, tell them I'm from Spokane.
Yeah.
It's all about relationships, and it's all about, there's this immense pride in Spokane that now my family
bleeds.
We're Spokaneites.
Yeah.
It's I was talking about Fort Collins is kind of my hometown. It's Spokane now. One of my children was born here at Sacred Heart. Like Spokane is my hometown now. I have immense amount of pride in it, and the people that we've talked about, immense amount of pride. And we are building something beautiful here, and we continue to on the shoulders of the giants that have come before us, and all the beautiful things that have. I mean, Spokane, Expo and Hoop Fest and Bloomsday and
Navigating No,
and creating Mother's Day. Like Spokane,
Pictionary.
It'll always surprise you what came out of Spokane.
Ryan Sandberg, John Stockton. Spokane is a great community.
It's the little engine that could.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Spokane is the little engine that could. It has grit.
Yeah.
We're going to steal that.
Yeah.
Well, you had mentioned like the mentorship, and you were afraid. You were afraid to go into a new market, even though you're excited and it's this challenge. I think also that the benefit of having a mentor, someone that has been through the fire, can also not only tell you like some anecdotes of like work twice as hard and show up twice as many times, you're gonna do fine. It's also the fact that you're not the only person who's ever done it.
Yes.
There are other people have done it.
Yeah.
So like with Dutch Brothers, he's not the only person to take an espresso company or like 4 walls and then create some kind of franchisable or set, right? It's like there is somebody who's done it before. So if it can be done, find that mentor who's been there and say, hey, can you help me out?
Bingo.
And it's like they want to share. Yeah. And you're in a position now and you're very giving with your time and you're giving with your advice to not only your employees, but then like your junior leaders. And it's you want them to succeed too. Yeah. And I think that community build of like, whether that's in business or whether that's your home where your family is, but it's also your community.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think when all of those pistons are running, and I'm making with my hands the actual logo of Idaho Central Credit Union, right? Like, I mean, go off of that. I mean, it's like your logo is hands coming together.
Yeah.
It's the community.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah. And man, again, you say something profound that just puts thoughts into my head about, the older I get, the more my circle shrinks as far as like the true people, the authentic people. So some of the best advice too that I give, and mind you, I'm 44. I'm in that middle realm, right? But I always tell people, just surround yourself with authentic people. Don't surround yourself with people that tell you what you want to hear. It's bad. Tell people that are going to tell you what you need to hear. And again, what really launched me, I guess personally, into Spokane was Rotary. And those people are, again, authentic people that I call on, and they tell me and challenge me and push me to do hard things. One of my dear friends, Chris Patterson, I remember it was 2018, and we were considering then, moving out of the safety and beauty of a neighborhood. We were in a cul-de-sac neighborhood up north by Whitworth. Everything was going great, but we wanted acreage, right? And from 16 to 18, we lost out on 6 turnkey properties to out-of-state cash buyers.
I like how he's pointing at me right now.
We were joking earlier about, hey, I'm from here, not Seattle or California or something. And by all means, keep moving here.
But I mean, I grew up here, right? And so as I was a kid growing up, the Californians coming in were the enemy, right? And then all of a sudden I moved away and I became the enemy because I was coming from Seattle.
No, by all means, keep moving here, but assimilate. Open your heart and your mind to Spokane.
Yeah.
It's all about relationships.
Yes.
Open your heart and your mind and be authentic, and people will accept you. Not all people, but your circle will find you.
I love that.
So keep moving here. It's a great place. We welcome all, right? But like,
so you lost out on several
to out-of-state cash buyers, right? So yeah, there was a little bit of frustration.
FYI, in 2019, we lost out to a few people too before we moved here, and we actually had to buy property and build a home. So that was same thing.
Yeah. So we find this old, in 2018, this old 1978 fixer-upper horse property, and just on 10 acres, but it feels like 200 because it's very just beautiful, right? So my wife and I are like, oh yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, this might be scary, So my buddy Chris Patterson comes up there with us, and he's having a talk with us, and he didn't tell us what we wanted to hear. What we wanted to hear was, oh yeah, just stay in the neighborhood or wait till something else comes along that's turnkey. He said, looked us dead in the eye. Either you guys are going to buy this or I'm going to buy it. You get the first choice, but this is not getting away to somebody out of state. And that's, lo and behold, we pulled the trigger, and we've never been happier. But we were scared, both of us. And we had, again, another mentor who already lived on acreage and has been through it to share their wisdom to say, do it. I've got your back. He lives 5 minutes from me and always there for me with things. And my other buddy, Mache, is always there. He lives on acreage too. I grew up in the neighborhood. I was never, I don't know if you can see it, but like I got property war wounds from, doing all the work there. Yeah. It's a lot of work, but man, I wouldn't change it. It's awesome. Love it. Like I love having that freedom and that space and that air and just tranquility, right? You go out into the world and you give your all. Yeah. But man, it will drain you. Sure. And then you got to have something to go recharge yourself with. Right. And it's funny, people, they'll meet Vanj and I, and they'll kind of assume there's two questions that pop up. Like, definitely she's the introvert and he's the extrovert, but they're actually totally mistaken about that. And then a lot of times they'll be like, well, why the hell did you marry him?
Yeah. A yin yang.
I'm actually not an extrovert. I'm an ambivert. It's a combination of introvert and extrovert. Sure. One of my happiest things to do is go eat lunch by myself. Seriously.
Have you ever gone to a movie by yourself?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll go to movies by myself. I'll go eat lunch by myself. Yeah. I love peace and quiet, to have my own thoughts and to recharge. Yes. There's times where I want to recharge with friends. There's time where I want to recharge with community. There's time where I want to recharge with family. But I'm not always on. I'm not always just the fun, happy guy. I'm able to do that because I self-care for myself. You and I talk a lot about work-life balance, but I think this generation also needs to start talking about self-care, especially male self-care. For me, it might be a quiet Thai lunch by myself because that's my favorite food, or Indian, It might just be going for a drive or a walk. My wife and I love walking the dogs together. That's our couples time alone, right? Like, figure out those little things to recharge yourself so that you can show up. That I always have this saying that says, don't let the world have the best of you and then give the rest of you to the things that really matter, which are community, family, and friends, and God. For me, might be different for other people. But I think, I've got a lot of great men that we talk to about, mental health and being a support for each other and being there. I had a really dark time I don't know if you saw me ever, but that's how a normal person stands up. I was like this for 3 months. I had L4, L5 herniated disc. It was hell.
Hunched over.
Hell. Yeah. And then, insurance and healthcare. Oh yeah, let's try massage and chiropractic and physical therapy. Oh, now let's do injections now. None of that worked. And I'm just suffering. And anybody that knows me, like the true guys in my life, that was a rough 90-day patch. Yeah. But I never gave up. I never, it's some dark thoughts, but never gave up. And I knew eventually this has got to get better, and you just got to keep making forward progress. Thank God I had this beautiful, skilled surgeon. Surgery, pop, stand up, done, good. I mean, why couldn't we do that on week 2 versus month 3?
Insurance purposes, they have to go through the hoops.
Healthcare and insurance in America, I don't know. I personally would probably do it differently, but again, you can't judge when you're not in it and doing it, right?
Well, I agree with that. I think that you had mentioned something about like recharging and the power of recharging.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people mistake that as like, I've got to get away and I've got to go to Cabo for a week or a weekend, or I've got to save up and go to Disneyland for 1 week. And it's like, sometimes those family vacations are harder than going into work, right? Because it's not a vacation and it doesn't have to cost money to recharge, whether that means you take a nap. I love 15-minute naps. Like I will hands down close my eyes. My wife hates me that I can do this, right? Or it's going for a walk with a family at night. That's not my favorite thing to do, but that is my wife's recharge, right? And it's just getting out and it's free. Going into the gym and working out. It is just like a time for you to turn everything off. It doesn't have to cost money. Reading a book. Reading is one of my things. Like I love to get into a book and just read because I escape. And I forget everything and I become part of that story. If it's a good story, right? And that's my recharge. And you had mentioned driving. One of my favorite things to do is drive back to Seattle by myself. And I might throw on 80s rock the whole way. But it's like, that's just my way of recharging. I'm totally fine by myself, like you are at a dinner or at a movie.
So what's your go-to 80s rock? Like rank your top 5.
Oh, the Cult, She Sells Sanctuary.
As well.
The Cult, She Sells Sanctuary, Firewoman, Rain.
Nice.
That is my favorite, but I love Def Leppard. I love Guns N' Roses. I love Skid Row. I came back. This is a fun story. This is totally off topic, but coming back from Seattle, a buddy of mine picked me up and he was like, hey, let's go out to one of these bars. And so we went out into the valley. And we were sitting there and we were walking up and the bouncer says $8. And I was like, $8 cover charge? And he was like, yeah. And I go, man, I've been away from Spokane for a while, but I don't remember the last time I was charged $8 to get into a bar in the valley. And he goes, yeah, but Skid Row's here. I go, oh, I'm coming in right now. Like 100% worth $8.
Like I said, Spokane will surprise you.
100%. Right? Oh my God. I love it. And no, I just, it was funny because I always hung out with older kids. Right. And so by default, I listened to their music. Right.
Same. My older brothers. Right.
And movies, especially 80s movies, the inspiration from that. I just introduced my daughter to Vision Quest last night. And Red Rider, Lunatic Fringe is in that. That's one of my favorite go-to songs. And it's just, it's so inspiring. That music really tapped something to me. But I learned in a college class that you don't start to learn to love languages until you're in your 30s. And I don't know how true that is, but I know that there's a lot of music in my 30s that I do love. But nothing gets me more than that 80s rock.
I love it. And I benefited from the two older brothers. You know, you mentioned martial arts earlier and Sylvester Stallone. I still vividly can paint you the picture in my his middle brother Sven's room. When we watched on little TV, we watched Van Damme, Bloodsport.
Oh yeah, great soundtrack.
Movie. Love that
great movie. Soundtrack.
And Rambo as well with Sylvester Stallone. But I'm totally going to watch Victory.
Victory
is the one you recommend.
It's not as high intense as Bloodsport, but it is a great movie.
Sounds amazing. I'm gonna
Michael Caine's in it.
Watch that. Okay. And then you love
Pele's in it.
Oh wow. Yeah. I'm definitely gonna watch Victory. What about books? What are your top kind of 3 books that you like?
I love a mix of self-help books, and I love kind of like for me to escape. I'm really into Lee Child. I like Clive Cussler books. One of my best friends is the writer of that series, Boyd Morrison. I love I just finished Dan Sullivan's 10 Times is Greater Than 2 Times. It's Easier Than 2 Times, and then Mel Robbins' book I'm reading, Let Them, right now. And it's just, I love these little pieces from books, whether it's like an adventure story, right? Or whether it's a self-help book. And it's like, we can pick and choose these things that help us and help us along that path. And music and movies do the same. There are scenes in Rambo. There are scenes in Bloodsport that I still, to this day, I told my daughter, like when he starts listening to Lunatic Fringe and he goes out to shoot at the very end and the song is playing, I would hit the tape on that and I would listen to that song over and over and over and over and over before a baseball game, before before a karate tournament, before a judo tournament. It's like, it is amazing how these little things inspire us.
Oh, yes. And music, you talked about
100%.
You can drive from here to Seattle alone, just listen to music. I've been there, done that. I've the longest drive I ever did alone was Fort Collins, Colorado to Luke Air Force Base in Glendale, Phoenix, Arizona area by myself in July, windows down, cruising, listening to music the whole way, drinking Red Bulls, right?
Sugar free.
But man, the power of books
Yes.
and music and television and movies is that's another thing that really fills my bucket. I will randomly be driving and listening to something and I'll just get emotional.
Takes you back.
A little teary-eyed. Like, so I love all music.
Yeah.
Definitely 80s and stuff. But two of my favorites, believe it or not, and I call them poets, right? Garth Brooks and Dave Matthews. Listen to their lyrics and their songs, man, just poetry, right? And there's pieces that you can take out and it just applies to life as well. To life. Yeah.
Queensryche is another one, right?
Yeah.
And it's like some of their music, and I'm just like, man, that does apply to life. There's a lot of self-help coin phrases in there, and it's just it helps shape us who we are.
Yeah.
And to have that influence, and it can take you to that emotional. I mean, I remember every movie that I went to with my mom, for example, or every like Pearl Jam 10 came out.
What another Eddie Vedder, another poet.
100%.
Love Pearl Jam.
My buddy Moses got that CD at the time and put it on it every day. We built fences. It was that whole album, and it was just like, that means that's a summer in Spokane with their shirt off and working hard and getting up early. And it's like immediately I hear one of those songs, I'm like, man, that's it.
Talking about, I think you and I have had a really great benefit of having older people in our life as big influences. That I still remember Pearl Jam's 10 CD. I was at, it was summer. I was at Sky Ranch Lutheran Camp in Colorado. Beautiful place. I don't know if it still exists, but I used to go there every summer as a kid, and there was the different segments of groups, right? So my younger group, and there was these older teenage, and they played 10, and that was the first time I heard Pearl Jam, and man, Jeremy and Black, and what are the rest of the songs? They'll come to me, but like, just look, goosebumps just thinking about my childhood and the memories and the flashbacks of those beautiful times.
Appetite for Destruction. A buddy of mine had the tape, and I had to buy it from him used, and you had to take the pencil and like rewind it if it like came out. And it was like, I listened to that from Spokane up to up north, Okanagan. And I was like in the back of a truck without a seatbelt back in the day. And it was like, it's those memories that are so great, but they've taught me so much. And just like any lesson or challenge, it's like you can get influenced by all of these things, and you have to find what works for you. Right. And it's like taking that where you're obviously you entered into this market. Your ICCU is absolutely blowing it out of the water.
Thanks.
What would you say is if you could look back at your life now and say to your younger self, what's the one thing that you would want yourself to know based off of maybe our conversation today?
Oh man, that is such a loaded, deep question. Right?
I'm sorry.
No, because it's like, people often talk about what would you do differently? Do you have any regrets? I don't know. I don't think I would change a thing from 0 to 44 right now. And, life and experiences and travel and relationships and all these things have been colorful, but they've shaped me from who I am from here all the way to here. I honestly don't even think I would take away the back issue that I had. It made me stronger. Maybe I could have done 30 or 60 days instead of 90, right? Yeah. Like, but man, you don't know how strong you are until you yourself live through something. And my mom always said this, and the older I get, the more it just sticks with me. She always said, and still does, you won't fully understand something until you yourself live through it. That is so profound and so powerful. And honestly, I know it sounds cliche, but there's not a thing that I would change about my life or my journey. The good, the bad, the ugly, the colorful, the beautiful, the hard, the painful, the tears, the joy, the laughter. It's been a heck of a 44-year long ride, and I hope God blesses me with another 44 of it, married to the love of my life, have 2 amazing kids, have a hometown and community that I dearly love, have a job that I enjoy and wake up and I know I can impact people and community and all that. And it's like, my boss and I were having that talk the other day too about you get out of bed and you're happy and you want to go,
Yes.
It's like if you're ever in a relationship of any kind,
work or
friend, marriage,
right.
anything, if it gets to a point where it's, more bad days than good days, get out of it. But if there's more good days, even if it's 51%, 49%, probably hang in there. And it might get up to like 70, 80%. It's never going to be 100%. Nothing in life is ever going to be perfect.
Sure.
So please don't kid yourself, right? But like if you have more quality in a relationship and more good days than bad days, by all means, stay on the horse, stick in there.
Course.
It's a great thing and be thankful and grateful for it, So I guess if I could go back to my younger self and give some advice, I would say, hey, you're right where you need to be. Honestly, I know that maybe other people think that's silly. I don't.
Well, and I mean it's so true because your path is your path.
Yeah.
Nobody else is going to be on your path. And the way that you get there is going to be different than every other person. Some people will get there faster. Some people it'll cost them more.
Yeah.
And that's the whole idea behind the sum of four is that we all get to four differently. And it's like your path is going to be your own and you will decide how fast you want to drive. You will decide how much fuel to put in. You will decide who else gets in the car with you. And it's like, that's the journey is the experience. And that, all that pain, all those challenges is your life. And it's like being grateful for the life that we have and the people around us and the community that we make. There's nothing else. Because when we're done, it's like, well, what else do we have? And it's like, enjoy the ride because you're only going to get one.
Yeah.
And be on board with that. And I love that you say that because it's so true. No matter what profession you're in, no matter what, it's like stay the course if it's greater than the worst. Yeah. Right. And it's like, if you're not learning from your network, then it's time to reevaluate that network.
Amen.
Right? And it's being true to yourself and being authentic and surrounding yourself around people that you want to either be like, or you can learn from, or those mentors, but people that bring you up. And you've done that. And I know you've done that with your teams and with your employees and then with your customers too.
Thanks.
Where can people find out more about you, or where's ICCU going to go and where can we see you going?
Oh yeah. Thanks. We've done the 6 branches in Spokane now. Now we're going to do 3 in Central Washington. We're going to do Kennewick, Richland, Pasco. And then we'll kind of continue on from there. We're in Arizona now as well. We'll do some infill in North Idaho as well, starting with Rathdrum. So
where my grandparents are from.
Yeah, we continue to grow because we're doing right by people. It's very simple. Business is very simple. Do right by people. And that's both internal team members and external members or clients or whatever it is, right? If you do right by people, it's just magically falls into place. There's no amazing secret sauce that like, oh, you got to do this and that. Somebody recently called the financial industry very boring. And good. It is boring. Banking is not Hollywood and movies, right? It's a certain set of products and services, right? But you got to choose to do it very well for your people inside so that they're happy, and that will reflect to people outside and make them very happy. Be fair, offer good products and services, do right by the community. That's really the boring secret sauce to banking right there, and be there for people.
Well, I love that. And you're absolutely doing that. And with your sponsorships, it's like we see your logos everywhere with at USL, with the Velocity team, with my kids' school. I know I see those green vehicles everywhere, right? The Jeeps. Yeah. And every time I think of your logo now, I'm like, it is about bringing a community together. Sure. And it's not like you're trying to push somebody aside. It's like, how do we make it stronger? Because there are other credit unions, right? You have competition, but it's like, you're all in it as one. Yeah. And it's like, I'm sure you talk to other CEOs of other credit unions, and it's like, you guys are a family. Yeah. You really are, because it might be a boring thing, but it's all this community and this family. And you say, stay true to yourself. It's the integrity behind it, right? And it's giving the value to people, but you have to do that not only personally, but professionally as well.
Amen.
And so I think you're doing that. And growing up with the name Blue, I had to be a good guy, right? Because my name is easy to remember, right? And so it's like, but you can have the name John, and you still have to stay true to yourself.
Right.
Because if you do that in work, both professionally and personally, you are going to succeed in this world.
Sure.
So stay true to that self.
Stay true to yourself, but also take redirection, right? Your mom redirected you through a currency that she knew where to push the button. My dad redirected me, right? Like that I think is part of the magic sauce. Stay true to yourself, but stay open to change and redirection and continued growth. I love what you said. Keep falling forward. Don't ever give up, right? And the rest will fall into place. I love the fact that you mentioned the Jeeps and everything and all the sponsorships and everything. Remember what I told you?
Yeah.
Work twice as hard and be twice as visible, and it'll all fall into place.
Well, you were doing that, man. And I love what you do for our community and the outreach and the influence. And I want you to keep doing it.
Thanks.
And thank you so much for being on today and
Appreciate
sharing
it.
your story
Thanks.
and being your authentic self.
Same.
So I appreciate you. And
Always
thank you
loved.
for our
Always
friendship.
loved. Thank you, my friend. Yeah, definitely. Feel the same about you. Thank you.
Thank you, Manny. All right. Thank you so much for listening to Navigating No. If this episode brings you value or you know someone who could benefit from it, the best way to support the show is by sharing and subscribing. It's completely free and helps us reach more people. And if you have any questions, feedback, or guests you'd like me to interview, drop a comment while you're there. I'd love to hear from you. And most importantly, thank you for tuning in. And let's continue sharing optimism and positivity.